Check, check.
All right, we're good. Mic check.
Chickadee
1,
check
2, 1,
yourself
2.
before you wreck yourself.
Riggedy wreck
Oh
yourself.
Lord.
It's old school. You know, I was listening to there's a podcast with a couple football players, brothers, literal, like blood brothers, same mom, same dad.
Kelsey and
It was Amon-Ra St. Brown and his brother Equanimous, and they always have a guest on. They ask them their favorite music, artist, and like album that has no skips. You just listen to beginning to end. And they were talking about Michigan. They're talking about Eminem because Amon-Ra plays for Detroit, and they're like, "Oh, he's old. He was good back in the day. He was good for a little while. Like he's just like completely obsolete to these guys." And
what?
Well, it's because age.
I just heard a 2010 hits station today at work, and I heard Eminem. So I don't. It's not that long ago.
The last album he put out was like only like 3 years ago.
But they're naming like.
Was it 3 years ago? I thought it was pretty.
It was 2020.
Yeah, because during COVID, I believe.
It was Music to Be Murdered By. That was the last album he put out. Well, he put out an A side and a B side.
Is Drake really that good? Because everybody fucking talks.
The guy puts out mad music, like
Drake,
untouchable.
Everybody talks about Drake like it's just
so here's the
go-to answer.
Drake is
a rapper. I thought
he was. He is. But Drake is. I think early Drake is good. I'm not a big fan of modern Drake, but I like early Drake.
I don't care for any Drake, but I
T.
acknowledge that a lot of people like him. I mean, I do know that. I know he's like.
T be like, I heard people are fond of him.
I don't
know what they're fond about, but
I don't
guess
care
they're
for
fond
Wayne
of him.
either. A lot of people love Wayne.
Damn, what do you mean you don't like Wayne at all, bro?
If he's on a pop station, I might have heard a Drake song. Otherwise, I have no idea.
Oh, Drake's
some songs
Drake stays on pop stations. The fuck?
Wayne ain't the dude for me.
You ain't nothing. You tell me you don't fuck with nothing.
I said he got some songs I like. That's it. When people want to put him in their top tens, I'm like, really, Wayne?
I mean, Wayne has a ridiculous body of music. It's almost.
Well, yeah. I mean, he got a lot of music for sure.
I think he's been rapping since.
And again, a lot of people clearly like him. I'm not one of them.
He's not my favorite, but I definitely enjoy.
So this
some of his music.
Kind of a. It's kind of related to when they said, oh, his music's old and stuff like that. Somehow makes it less.
What?
And
it's not old. First of all, it's not old. That doesn't make any sense. But
I mean, his biggest hits obviously were 20 years ago. But
really?
No, that's
not true either.
Is it mid 2000s?
No, he's had hits in the 2010s.
He's had hits all the way
like
through.
His biggest like chart toppers, like Marshall Mathers LP.
20 years ago.
It wasn't 20 years ago.
That was the early 2000s.
Yeah, but you're saying like hits that hit that high.
I'm talking about number one pop hit like across the.
No,
Billboard
he's had
hits in like the 2010s.
2010s, yeah.
Well, the two tracks he did with Rihanna, for God's sake.
He did Rihanna, yeah.
Which were both like 2010, 2009, I think.
You think those were like as big as his early stuff?
Now you're going back and forth. That's two different things.
Well, I'm talking about his like huge chart top.
Who was as big as that? Almost no one.
Or fucking
was as big as that.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Rap God was fucking.
But that's not fair.
It's like, but it's been 20 years, right? Hits. Since his first big hits, right?
No,
it wasn't too.
Well, yeah, since his first hits,
yeah, because he was
TR 99,
yeah,
more than 20 years.
Yeah,
that's all I was trying to say. Like his big.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I would say I don't know if it.
What's the one with the red? Was that Dre or his? These voices, and then obviously My Name Is was disgustingly
That was the first
huge.
one, but that's the next album with the red curtains. I forget what that one was called.
Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah, is that what that was? That one? That one had like, that was like
the Eminem Show.
No, Eminem Show.
Eminem Show.
Yeah,
Eminem Show.
That was like that had like multiple big hits. But anyway,
but he's had consistent hits.
I mean,
all of his albums, like.
Yeah, shit. I mean,
he's still a very relevant rapper. Like he's still super relevant.
One of his last tracks that went popular was the Godzilla, which has the late Juice WRLD on it, and people lost the shit over that. And that was 2020, I think.
It wasn't that long ago. He ended another rapper's career. What was that, 2019? Was that 2019?
You talking about MGK?
Yeah, MGK.
Yeah, that was 2018, but yeah. Still, okay, it's only been about 5 years.
He sent that man to another genre of music,
which is weird because it's funny because MGK has been relatively successful in that.
He has.
Genre.
I'll give him that.
He has been probably his biggest hit, I would think.
I mean,
I'm saying as far as like my mom probably knows Lose Yourself. She's in her 80s.
I think. Well, yeah. I guess on a general scale, you could say. I feel like
won an Academy Award. It was like, I mean, cross.
Oh yeah, I mean that puts it on a different.
If you're talking about for general audiences, I guess.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
I guess is it Lose Yourself? I would think it'd be some like Stan or some shit. I don't know.
Stan actually would be close. I think Stan's pretty close.
Especially because of that sample. I mean, like, or that sample.
But still, that Stan's up there. I know definitely Stan would be like top 3.
No.
If you're asking a rap fan, it's fucking.
Saying no. What are you talking about?
The song you like, but there's
Stan,
no way.
You're telling me Stan?
It's not even about
like one of his most popular tracks.
It's a decent song, but it's a super popular song.
Yeah, Stan is
people use that term "stan" to call people fans of something. That's how big that is. That gave it created a slang term.
Yeah, it did.
You're being a stan came from that.
We'll find out right now. Lose Yourself is number 1. Love the Way You Lie featuring Rihanna.
Oh, Love the Way You Lie. Yeah, that's like
that's
2012.
It's count Smack That, but that's just featuring Eminem. That's not his song. The Monster.
Well, that is his song.
Is it?
He does 3 verses on it. That would make it his song.
8, okay.
What?
The Monster featuring Rihanna is 4. Without Me,
that's the
5.
other one.
Not Afraid, 6. Cleaning Out My Closet, 7.
Oh.
The Real Slim 8, Just Lose It 9, Forever, featuring Drake, Eminem, Kanye.
Yeah, that is Drake. That's Drake's song, but it's on the remix.
I Need a Doctor, Shake That.
I know Crack a Bottle.
Stan is it?
I'm Slim Shady or something. The real shady.
The other's real shady.
I mean, come on, man.
Imitating.
It's not.
His worst albums are
30 of the Billboard.
Bigger than people's biggest hits. Like, you know what I mean? That's how popular dude is. Like, his worst albums sell more than people's best albums.
That is true.
Yeah.
I think I'm still.
And the Eminem show is one of the best sounding like production quality I've almost ever heard. Like, it's just fucking amazingly clean.
Oh, weird. I was listening to Eminem today.
The bass.
Listening to I think my dad's gone crazy.
Oh, with Haley, with his daughter.
Yeah, with his daughter. Yeah,
that was low key adorable to listen to.
I love that song.
So yeah, Stan wasn't in the top 30 of his Billboard biggest hits.
There's no fucking way.
That's crazy to me.
That's wild.
That just tells you how popular Homeboy tracks are. I mean, that's
wild to me. I was hoping
Stan would destroy most rappers. I bet you, as far as popularity or sales, like most rappers couldn't.
The one track I hope is
and you saying that's not
like
even
Nintendo's. It's like Nintendo's top 30 biggest selling games would be like number 31 would be Microsoft's number 1 probably.
Damn. You couldn't say PlayStation
Flight Simulator. Oh shit!
Unless you count Minecraft because they bought.
You pulling the planes out here, buddy. Goddamn.
I mean, you got to give him credit because you can't count Minecraft as what it was when they bought it, but
it's sold a lot.
What it is now, you got to give him credit for all that, like the longevity and shit. Like that's all Microsoft.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so before we move on to gaming, I do want to touch on to that. We're talking about someone saying that's old, it's not good. In the chat, we were discussing this a little bit, and I watch a lot of first-time movie reactions, and it's funny because early on, like younger people in their like 20s, early 30s, when they first like get into it, I don't know, I never found out why any of these people decide to do movie reactions and why it becomes successful, but early on, they're just like, oh, this movie's from the 70s. It's probably not going to be that good because it's old. You know, that mentality. People have actually said that out loud in the beginning of the reactions. And then it just blows my mind because Clocked said he watched Big Trouble in Little China with his kids, his daughters, and he didn't think they liked it. And I'm like, that's definitely one of those movies. I feel like if you didn't grow up with it, you probably with the nostalgia. Because every reaction I've watched to it, they're like, what was this movie? I don't understand this. Why was this movie so highly recommended? It's just one of those our childhood nostalgia. I love watching it, but it just doesn't resonate with people watching it now.
Because it's insane. They're not used to seeing.
They're not prepared
for
it.
Crap, insane movies like that. Yeah.
The idea of something's old, it can't be good. It can't look good. And then when they see like Alien's probably like the one movie that unanimous people get done with it, and they're like, "Holy, that was amazing!" Like that, and they're throughout the reaction, like, "This movie looks great," and they're like, "The CG looks good here." Like, that ain't fucking CG.
Oh, you're saying? Oh, okay, I got you.
Like,
you're saying based on the reaction people you watch.
Yeah, and it's like
that's what you've noticed.
The graphics look good. It's not
graphics.
It's not CG. It's fucking. It's practical effects.
Being so old that practical effects are called
those
graphics.
Movies still look great, and they're surprised. Yeah, they're surprised.
It saddens me.
And then the nice thing is, by the a year later, they're still doing reactions, and then you can tell they've realized that they start talking about the older movies, like, man, they're talking about newer movies, like, they don't make them as good as they used to, so they come full circle, and it's kind of cool to see that. And I was just thinking of that when I brought up Eminem. But it's just funny that, who would ever think, oh, that's an old movie, that can't be good. Like, maybe I'd think that about I don't know. I've never thought that in my life.
This is a different.
Did you catch wind of Rob Rule 2? His Twitter post today? Because it sounds like what you're talking about.
Really?
He put up a thing about Mario 64 and my God, Ocarina of Time. Yeah, and how influential, like, a lot of the games today you play today, you probably wouldn't even be playing if it wasn't for those two games specifically. And there was a lot of pissing and moaning. Not a lot. There was some pissing and moaning, and the replies to it is like, what are you talking about? One guy completely did not even hear or did not even comprehend what he said. He was like, oh, what a Final Fantasy VII came out in 97. It's so amazing how influential Zelda was to that. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? You clearly didn't read the post or couldn't comprehend it. But he was saying that, especially modern 3D gaming owes a lot to Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. And yes, I mean, it's not a secret, I don't think.
Well, even people still talk about the 3D camera of Mario 64. Yeah, it's not as good as the games, like the recent 3D Mario games.
Oh, obviously, yeah. I'm sorry. This was a different post, actually. I think he quote tweeted some guy saying, yeah, that's what it was. The guy was talking about Ocarina of Time and saying, let's be real, the transition from the Zelda before this and Ocarina of Time was a rough transition. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that was that was the thing about Mario 64 and Zelda specifically, was that transition from the 2D,
rough,
top down.
98 Metacritics, really rough transition.
Then he starts talking about all this stuff. I'm like, well, you're talking about compared to modern gaming, but if you're talking about transition, we're talking about Super Mario World to Mario 64 that is an amazing transition. That transition has not been duplicated in gaming since.
Still
like
trying to
the wow factor.
I knew you couldn't keep your goddamn mouth good, could you? Motherfucker. I knew it. I'm just sitting over here. You imagine being an innocent bystander like me, sitting over here.
It's true though.
Listening to like positive conversation. Your franchise ain't shit. Damn. Why you say fuck me for? I didn't even do anything.
Metal Gear had a great transition from.
Oh, you know what? Oh, good for Metal Gear. Good for Metal Gear.
Did it?
Going back now, I'm sorry, clocked it when you
transition from what is it? You saying from like Metal Gear Solid, or you saying Metal Gear
from the 2D
to Metal Gear Solid? Yeah. Well, Metal Gear Solid isn't really 3D; it's kind of pseudo.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, that collection just came out on Switch. I was watching a review.
The collection is just bad in general.
Those camera angles are fucking garbage in that first game. Like it was designed that way, but damn, does that cause so many freaking issues.
Dude, I hated Metal Gear Solid. I didn't like it until Twin Snakes.
At least Twin Snakes, that you go to first person, you actually could see where people were.
I did not. I was never. I was like, what am I missing? I mean, you guys know.
I couldn't even get like the original. It took me probably 20, 25 tries just to get past the first section when you come out of the water.
The first section was giving me all. I was like, I cannot figure out. I'm confused.
So, yeah, that's it's crazy that people think, like, try to spin that narrative, because that was the defining thing of Mario 64 at Ocarina of Time. How well they transitioned from 2D to 3D. It was like the defining factor that made them so highly regarded. And
well, I think he was thinking of as because he's a younger guy, and actually, our Rob hopped in, and he was like, because he's got nothing better to do, he hopped into the Twitter thing, and he was like, well, actually, I just beat Zelda not too long ago, and I'm a young dude, and because there was this thing about, well, maybe it was because you're young or whatever, and you didn't get to see the game at that time. But that's not the argument. The argument was it a great transition from the previous Zeldas to this one. Yes, it was an amazing transition. All the tropes were there. Surprisingly, I was like, how did they do that? It was witchcraft to me. I was like, how did they do this?
Because it still felt like Mario and Zelda.
Yeah, it still felt like Mario and Zelda, both of them. That is, it's impossible. How do you do that? Like, I don't know how they did it still. So.
And there's still games that are struggling. Like Castlevania never made a good transition to 3D. Did Mega Man even try 3D? I don't even remember. Like
yes,
Mega Man Legends.
Yeah,
not a good transition. That you can say.
I like those games.
It's almost a completely different kind of game. Actually, they just said, "Fuck it, let's just make a different kind of game."
And the controls are like Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
It's like fucking
Tomb Raider
tank control. I hate tank control.
Yeah,
bro.
It was tanky, and it's just like that works for Tomb Raider, but not for Mega Man. Is this hopping ass, jumping around.
I think that's the reason why that game became its own little thing, because it was like, this can't be the main series, bro.
No,
I think we gotta turn this into like a side game.
That's a bad transition. That's a.
Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of them. There's a graveyard of bad 2D to 3D transitions. Bubsy.
No, that game, that whole IP is trash. No, listen, that whole IP is trash. We're not even gonna have this conversation, okay?
Bubsy Super Nintendo wasn't bad. It was a typical, that's the problem. It was a typical 2D platformer.
That's how it started. Yeah, and it got worse. That was the problem. It got worse as the games kept coming.
Yeah,
it got objectively worse, and then we hit.
Then they got good again. The remakes, or not remakes. I think they're.
Well, yeah, because the bar was so fucking low. How could you fuck that up? It's like, bro, the bar's under the ground. Can you just walk over that bitch? I guess we can make an okay kind of
there game. You go, Ayers. Castlevania 64.
Yeah, I already said that.
You did.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah,
that's a whole problem. That's a time capsule.
A time capsule.
that's a time capsule.
It's
like a fucking memory
unlock. Gameplay of that game, sluggish is the word that comes to mind. That game was just.
Yeah, it's floaty and sluggish. You don't feel like your character is actually on the ground, but you're walking around. I own both of them because I was standing for my N64, so I was like, oh no, these are good. I don't need Symphony of the Night. I don't need that. Yeah, okay.
All I know is that game, Symphony of the Night, was talked about. Like, I never played it, but
it's never played Symphony of the Night.
It was talked about in such high regard. I always kind of was jealous that I didn't have a PlayStation to play it, but it is what it is.
That was a different kind of Castlevania.
I guess
ironically enough, it started its own subgenre.
I played what is the Japanese version on Saturn? That's what.
Rondo of Blood.
It's called Akuma something J Dracula, something like that.
Oh, was it Dracula?
It's the same game. It's Symphony of the Night. Maybe maybe that's what it. No, maybe that's what it is. Just a Kojima Dracula X or something. Yeah, that's the version I played.
One thing about the N64 that has been mentioned
not as good
a bunch of times is that Nintendo and third parties, they really felt like we got to make a 3D game. Imagine if some of these devs just use all that power of the N64 to make an awesome 2D style game. You know, like that happened. I think wasn't there a 2D Yoshi game? I don't remember if that one was good or not, or people liked it, but I feel like that was like the only Nintendo mainline 2D game. And it's like it just feels like they're like, well, we got to make it 3D. It's the N64. We're in 3D gaming. If we don't make a 3D game, you know, it's like people aren't going to want it. And it just felt like a lot of games suffered because developers weren't ready for 3D gaming, and they still put out like Castlevania 64 type games. And you know,
the full title is SS Akumajo Dracula X. That's what I was trying to remember.
Oh my god, I hate that title. I think that's why people just call it Dracula X.
Yeah, that's why I call it Dracula X. But I actually have the game, so I remember being like Akumajo something in it. Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh my god. But yeah, I think it's like you said, just like we're on a new console, fucking N64. I'm making a 3D time. I'm not making no fucking. That's all we've been doing is 2D shit. Like the fuck, like this is. And then unfortunately, that was kind of Nintendo's beginning of its rough era.
You know, that rough Mario 64 rough transition. It was never truly. I mean, you could say Banjo-Kazooie, and like they definitely improved like the camera and stuff. I feel.
Yeah,
but they didn't improve the platforming.
No,
it
still was like
Banjo-Kazooie is a action adventure game.
Yeah,
because I mean Mario had the ledge grab. I mean, Mario had so many moves. I mean, looking at it now, it's almost like going from just like basically running and jumping to like having backflips, crouch jump, long jumps, ledge grabbing, where you climb up, or if you hit the wrong button, you drop down and die. Like it's just like, and then when you if you did a long jump and didn't clear, you'd hit your head and fall to your death. There's so many things that weren't in the 2D Mario games, and yet it still felt.
Why people love to play those games now.
It still felt like, wow, this feels like a Mario game in every way. You never felt like you weren't playing a Mario game. It's just, I don't know how they did it. It defies logic.
It's witchcraft, man. I wouldn't be surprised if we found out one day that they made a pact with the devil or something. Like,
oh no,
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
And
how is this game that good?
They didn't just try to like recreate a 2D level in 3D. That's the thing. I think that was the brilliance of it, because just to try to make a 2D level in 3D that you just run through that would just been dumb. I don't know if maybe that's what Sega tried to do. I'm not sure.
They didn't try to do that in the beginning, because if you look at like Sonic Extreme was a pretty, I don't want to say standard, but it was a 3D platformer game. It wasn't like trying to put Sonic in 2D or 3D. Go ahead.
T's right to a degree. To start with, they didn't do that. I think they started thinking that way later, which is when we got things like
they got scared, I think.
Yeah, because the problem is that 2D to 3D is not like isn't. But you got to think about it back then, when you don't have a fucking base level to go off of. You're not thinking of every little thing. I think they were like, the easiest thing to do would have been, I think they thought they were overthinking it and said, fuck it, why don't we just take a 2D level, flip the perspective, which is why I think it's in Sonic Adventure 1 or 2. I think it's in 2. You can play the original Green Hill like in 3D. It's like a secret level and shit. And it looks jank as... Yeah, it's 2, and it's jank as fuck. And you're just like... And I can tell they were just kind of like, fuck, this don't look like it's fun. And that's why I think Sonic went in such a weird direction for a couple of years. Like
it's like taking like Super Paper Mario. When you go from the 2D side scrolling, and it's like, take me back to 2D, please, because it doesn't work as well. Now that game isn't about platforming, really. It's about you find cool puzzles and stuff when you switch into 3D. It's a really cool mechanic but actually trying to play, I've seen people build like the first level of Mario, Super Mario Brothers in 3D, and oof, like no, it just doesn't work. Straight up translation doesn't work.
Especially when you realize that a lot of the reason why 2D Mario was the way it was is partially just due to limitations. It was like, even the way Mario looks is partially due to limitations. Like, why does
his nose, his mustache?
Like, it's like, why does he look the way he does? I'm like, because the player's not gonna be able to see him properly if you don't make him look a certain kind of way. It's actually, I will say, like, looking up like interviews of that thought process from developers has always been interesting to go through, because it sounds like it's not a lot until you listen to someone talk about it. You're like, damn, that's a lot.
Expression about necessity is.
I'm not sure about that.
Birth of some. What is that expression?
Something on necessity breeds creativity or something like that.
Yep.
I don't remember the full phrase, but it's like
not necessity. You're talking about it's a lack of resources, basically.
Yeah, it's like.
There's a different word for it.
I think he's right. There is one that's necessity breeds creativity. Yeah.
It's something in that line, but I don't remember the full phrase.
Because you have to find workarounds. You have to find solutions to the problem because of the limitations of something. So if you
but that isn't.
That's not the right word. That is definitely an expression. I don't know if that's the one I was initially.
All right, Mr. Definite. Let's look this shit up then.
Like this man's like something.
But I think there's another. It's
something
saying.
Breeds creativity. Like it's something like, I think T's probably T's idea.
He uses this in film all the time.
It's the same limitation.
Limitation breeds creativity. Right.
There we go. Limitation.
That's the one we used to use in film a lot. But
I think necessity is also like I've heard that one before too. Where
there is a one for that. I just don't.
I'm sure it is, but I don't think it's that one. Let's see.
Because they both end in.
And breeds invention?
Necessity and
ingenuity?
Creativity both end in a...
Necessity breeds invention, or necessity breeds ingenuity?
Ingenuity, maybe? I don't know.
Ingenuity sounds cool. Yeah, ingenuity sounds closer.
Same concept. I mean, the concept's the same.
Yeah. But it's like I said, it's always cool to watch developers
when you give somebody an open checkbook, a lot of times that's not going to go well. You know,
I mean, for God's sakes, one of the biggest struggles in 3D was that fucking camera. Good God,
that was the biggest struggle. Yeah,
even in Mario 64, there's some spots where it's coming.
Yeah, it's not perfect. It was very much. How the fuck do we get this to work? I will say
perfect. It shouldn't have been as good as it was. So perfect. It should not have been that good.
Well, I think it's because they did the whole creativity thing by being like, well, it's actually a Lakitu.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think it's the.
That was smart.
You had to take it out of what it actually is. Like, yeah, it's a camera, but how do we make it? I think it was easier for developers to understand
make the camera a character, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
I think that would have helped a lot of people, which is why, because a lot of developers struggle like a motherfucker with that camera.
Nobody could do it until Mario 64, and then other companies slowly started to figure it out.
Yeah, and it got perfected eventually, but it took a while. That fucking camera was a bitch, which is crazy to think that was the struggle. Like, I mean, obviously certain IPs have bigger problems transitioning to 3D with like level design, but
part of it was the controller itself, right? Part of it was the fact that we didn't have dual analog, so that was an issue.
Oh, absolutely.
And there was stars in Mario 64 where you needed to walk, and you couldn't get. It was a narrow path, like that freaking star on the top of the ghost. I made a video about that some years ago. You couldn't get the camera at a 90 or 180 so you could walk straight. It was only at an angle, and it was like you had to tiptoe, and even then it still and then you accidentally press too far,
and it's sliding,
and you're sliding off.
You got to go all the way back to the fucking house again to get back up there, and it's like, fuck this. I got a video on that. Go check it out on my channel.
If I was to rank some of the stars in 64, that would be one of the worst to get.
Yeah, I think the video is called like unnecessarily difficult star, because you get the star, you make the star appear, But then there's a then there's also you have to go and get that bitch.
And
that's
then
the harder part.
If you scale that freaking ledge, then you have to make the jump and hit it. I've missed that on the jump a few times, and it's like, if I wasn't like so just obsessed with getting 120 stars, I might have said F it a couple times.
Right.
But
I think I fell on that thing fucking 6 or 7 times. I was ready to give up. Like, fuck this. I'm not running through this house again.
But I mean, sitting in my room back in my parents' house in the basement, I had a 13-inch Magnavox I was playing N64 on in the beginning. And in the dark, the first couple nights, man, because I got it on a Friday night. They released it early. It was supposed to be Sunday, and Toys R Us called me Thursday night, said it's available pickup. So I went Friday. And just Friday night, Saturday night, and obviously Sunday night was a school night, but it was just magical, man. I didn't care about some frustrations at that time. It was just, everything was just mind-blowing. So it was just, if you weren't there, you weren't there. Just like I was saying with Big Trouble Little China, The Fifth Element's another one that younger people struggle with now. I'm like,
I just showed that movie to my son for the first time. He's 13 years old. He was blown away. He loved it
because
he thought it was amazing.
It's about 50-50. Some people just absolutely love it, and others are just like silent, like, what the fuck am I watching? Type of look.
Well, even at the time, actually, it wasn't a huge
with my friends. Hit. I was the only one who really liked it. We went.
Yeah, even at the time when it came out, it wasn't like a huge hit.
I'm like, that wasn't until later. Amazing. Hilarious. I'm laughing. Rudy Rod's a little much at some certain points, but still funny.
Yeah. That was one of the first movies like I really dug into, like behind the scenes and like the influences, the manga that what's the director's name?
Luc Besson.
Luc Besson. Like all his influences. Basically, he ended up making the movie that was the influence for what was the movie called?
Valerian was one.
Valerian, thank you. Valerian. That's the world of Fifth Element was based on the Valerian comics,
and it's one of those movies too. Like, even if I watch a reaction, somebody doesn't like it, I always comment. You got to watch it a second time because most people over the years, that movie's become more. They've liked it more and more over the years because they've seen it more and more, and it's like it's one of those. It's just like Pulp Fiction. I don't know anybody who loved the movie after one viewing. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. I thought it was, what is that? That's stupid.
What was that?
Now it's just so brilliant. Like, it's just so brilliant. Even Death Proof. I watched that. I think I only watched it. I watched it Saturday. I think it was the second time.
I like Death Proof from the beginning.
I didn't care for it the first time. But So, and I think
part of it was, did you watch the double feature back in the day?
I can't remember if I saw the double feature in theaters because it was shorter.
I know. I definitely went to see the double feature, and I was like, after watching Planet Terror, Death Proof is a little tame. Mm-hmm. Planet Terror was insane, and then you get Death Proof, and it's just like a kind of structured narrative. You're going through, like, it's just that was the problem the first time I saw it. Yeah, it's a lot of
and a lot of dialogue about characters who just have a sudden and like immediate death, like
right.
And then the second half of the movie is different characters. So but anyway, I forget where. I was just talking about people, like younger people now. Just like I was worried Rob wouldn't appreciate Ocarina of Time, and I mean, he didn't even get a Epona. So I was like, did he fully appreciate it? I don't know.
That broke my brain. I still don't believe. I was like, you can't play that game without getting Epona at all. I just don't. Don't you have to jump across the chasm? How do you get across that chasm? I guess he hook shot it. Oh yeah, that's right.
I didn't think so. I would have thought you got the double hook shot after you got across there, but
I'm just surprised that Miyamoto would let that happen. Like, no, you got to use the horse at some point. It's surprising to me. What do they call that? Isn't there a thing?
I don't know.
Well, like sequence breaking.
Called something in gaming. Sequence breaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that, I had no idea. It melted my brain.
It's a difference of mentality.
So I wonder what other games would be like questionable, whether somebody who played it now would be able to appreciate it. I'm sure there's a lot of from that earlier 3D era.
I was gonna say if you go to 2D, there's way more. But
I think
if
2D.
we just stick to
Honestly,
3D,
I feel like 2D games, because there's so many indie 2D games, I still feel like they hold up.
yeah, but there's a ton of people that could care less about indie games or
That's true.
I know, but
2D
you
games.
go back to Mario,
Those are Tinky
Super
Winky
Mario
games. Come on,
Brothers, and it
guys.
still controls like you don't need it to control any better. Like it's still
Yeah, but you're saying two
works.
different things. There's some people that will look at that and be like, okay, it's stupid.
But
yeah. It's a different mentality, but he's not wrong.
There is some people, but I feel like that would be less likely for somebody to be like, oh, this is what the hell, I can't play this, you know, as something like, I don't know, like Turok.
But look at Atari games is but I don't even fuck with Atari. Like I'm a retro gamer, and I can't even go back that far.
But I think like Turok Dinosaur Hunter, for somebody who plays modern first person shooters, it'd be like, what is this crap? You know, like I don't think that would be appreciated.
But again, even Turok's not a classic.
No, it isn't.
You know, it's not on that level. I don't think it's a great game, especially at the time it came out. I think what it's mostly remembered for is that dinosaurs, cool. I get to blow up fucking dinosaurs.
I never seen the T-Rex in that game either. I never got to it.
Obviously that frame rate is something else.
That had some bad platforming. Speaking of platforming.
Oh, the platforming! Oh my gosh.
Frustrations. Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox. That was a good transition from 2D.
I think
it was a perfect transition. I think it blew away the original Ninja Gaiden formula, personally.
What? Okay, you're tripping now, but yeah, that was a really good transition.
Well, it's just some of the cheap tactics they had to. If you like the enemies, if you slow down your momentum, then these enemies, it'd be like impossible section. There's a couple.
Oh, it's some bullshit. Don't get it twisted. There's some bullshit.
Some levels. If you stopped in the wrong spot, you weren't gonna be able to get across.
Oh yeah,
a jump.
And just enemies respawning and shit, just inching a little bit. You know, on the when you side scroll the level.
The impact of those cinematics at the beginning of Ninja Gaiden on the NES.
That's what you remember. That's what I remembered. Those damn cinematics
blew me away. So yeah, that's a good one, Ayers. Because I played that's one of the best Xbox games, I thought. Original Xbox.
Right. I mean, when people talk about Xbox, they talked about fucking Ninja Gaiden and like in basically Namco games. What's the fighting game?
Dead
series?
Alive.
Dead or Alive, right? So
yeah, Dead or
Alive. But anyway, we were kind of talking about older games that maybe someone went back to wouldn't feel. Like I'm thinking
Smash
gameplay,
1?
Not just like the
Smash
visuals.
1.
Smash 1. I honestly, I'm not sure.
Smash 1's
I think it's still. If you know Smash, I think you'd still be able to pick up and play.
I think it only holds up for people who have nostalgia for it. I don't think it holds up.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same. It's just it's a different.
I think
if you say melee transitions fine, but fucking.
Do you think
Smash 1
feels like a beta version versus like Melee, where it's like you can see the foundation there, but
that's kind of what it is.
Look, there's some things about the first Smash that I love that I wish they would. The whole toy, because if you remember, the characters in Smash in the first one, they were toys,
figures,
and the big hand was like basically a human's hand doing the fight. Like I wish they would bring that back in it, but I guess they can't really do that.
They kind of keep that
the
in
Amiibo
some aspect. They tried. They didn't completely forget about it, but you're right. It's nowhere near as prevalent as it used to be.
We tried to play that that was garbage.
Look, Winback was pretty garbage back in the day. It was just cool because it was the first cover shooter game.
Mm-hmm.
I watched my friend play through it, and my boy Rico, and he loved that game, and I'm like, man, God bless you, because I can't deal with this. Like, you thought Solid Snake ran funny. Wait till you control the character and win back. Oof.
I mean, even GoldenEye with its weird default control setup going back to, but once I made it so I could, it controlled more like a dual stick.
Yeah,
it's still.
it
felt fine.
I stand for it because I forget which mode it is. I don't know why. I just use this mode all the time. But that was a keyboard and mouse game to me. Like it was like the mouse was the stick, and you use the C buttons for up, down, left, and right. Like I used to play a lot of first person shooters that way, like Doom and all that stuff, and that's what you did. You're up, down, left, right, or you're forward, back, left, and right. Your strafes.
I used
that shit felt supernatural to me.
I used up and down C buttons to look, aim up and down, and I used left and right to strafe. I don't know how.
How'd you do that? That seems...
I was good at that fucking game too, like that, but I couldn't do it now. Anyway, I want to transition to a topic Collected brought up, because I'm so glad he made that video, because I've been feeling like, I don't know about with UT or Terrell, you really having a discussion, but I felt like I've been saying that for years and taking shit for it, like saying that I'm just looking forward to the day where Nintendo has, like, when I was playing Kana, I was just like, man, I can't wait till Nintendo has PS5 Series X level of power to work with. But look at what this first time developer was able to achieve. I know Nintendo could just absolutely blow this out of the water if they had the same level of power. And it's not because, oh my god, I hate the Switch, I can't stand the games I'm playing.
It's either or.
Yeah.
You love it. You love it or hate it.
I'm just like, man, I can't wait to see what Nintendo's what Monolith Soft's gonna do with this level of power. Like, and I literally had to fight that, and then to see here Collected, and he said it way better than I ever could. And it's just like there's any Nintendo fan who says they aren't looking forward to, like, Nintendo's what Nintendo's games are gonna look like with a PS5 level power. They're lying. Like, and it doesn't mean you want it right now. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the Switch and Tears of the Kingdom. And
why is that controversial?
It's just so weird to have to fight that fight. But so I just wanted to kind of talk about that. Like, what do you guys think? I mean, look what Nintendo's doing with the Switch. You made that video where you showed that 30 minutes on top of the dragon in Tears of the Kingdom. It's all seamless.
Incredible.
And it's like, what are they gonna...
And I go play Starfield. I'm like, what the fuck?
any modern
I love
game.
Starfield, but it's like, what seamlessness I got on this little 8 to 10 watt power outage. Oh, damn, I can't even talk. Little tablet device
with the memory bandwidth. Everyone talks about the memory bandwidth.
Yeah, like what? And I'm having to get a loading screen every time I fucking. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So it's like, are they gonna like go even further? Like, are they gonna do things like developers right now? Let's look at the Assassin's Creed Mirage. They like this new game engine, and you're talking to somebody, and then just like in Cyberpunk, the NPCs just walk through your characters, like no collision detection. They just phase through them. It does it in Cyberpunk, and it immediately takes you out. It doesn't matter how invested you are in the dialogue and the story. As soon as somebody passes through you, multiple people pass through you, it takes you right out of the game. And it's like, is it really worth it, these advanced rendering features, if we can't even have hit detection anymore? And I'm just like, what is Nintendo gonna do with that level of power? I mean, because by the time they get to it, they'll have they'll be working their way towards it. It's not like they're gonna have it next generation. Well, maybe the Switch 2 will get you close, but I don't think they're going to be.
I think it'll be PS4 at least.
I don't think they'll be caught off guard. Like, oh my god, what do we do with all this? You know, it's like, but what is Nintendo going to do with it? Are they just going to make their games look better, or are they going to just go places we never thought?
I mean, the thing with like, advancing gameplay styles and technology, it's very much, if you kind of correlate it back how they did in Mario 64, they'll just recontextualize it and then change it accordingly. It's kind of like with Zelda, they had to kind of go back and refigure out what's the core of it all. Like, why do I care about the fucking interactions of other people? What is that? What does that do for the player? And then once you recontextualize, it's a sense of immersion. Maybe there's something you can do, like, touching people or bumping into people actually causes some change in the gameplay, like a butterfly effect or some shit. Nintendo has always been good about taking concepts that are really fucking basic and then turning them into a whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, they could literally make gameplay around how, like, physics. I mean, we already seen the physics system in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Take that and then add, like, I was thinking, that I don't know, Clocked might have pointed out. Somebody made a video where they showed in the original Breath of the Wild that field where Link dies with all the Guardian skeletons. If you stand there during rain, the low spots fill with water. And it's like, I never noticed that. But imagine they take it to the level, let's say they get with more power, more processing. If it rains and there's like a valley of like grassy fields and it like all this water comes rushing down if in a storm, or you got to plan your route around this like rushing water that's coming down, and maybe that completely changes the gameplay for while it's in a rainstorm or something, just something that would just visually blow your mind but also impact the gameplay and make you have to plan or do something different.
Avalanches, mudslides.
Yes, just like instead of just making static prettier looking stuff on screen, like Kana, as much as I love how it looks, it's static. The world's dead. It's nothing moves. You don't even have trees moving. There's
I mean, we're talking about some indie developer that's their first game, right? Wasn't that Kana?
Yeah.
I give you a pass, but I can't give Horizon a pass.
No.
That game is pretty as fuck, but it is also very static.
At least Forbidden West, they have some really good tree like movement during storms. I might have even posted the video.
I can't really.
There's like a storm came in and it was just like, it was amazing. The grass, everything was blowing, and it really felt like I was in a storm. Days Gone did that really well.
I got it right here. I'm gonna get back into it really soon.
But
I'll touch it eventually.
I got this little rack here of my need to finish games. Yeah. So I put it right here.
I'm still on damn Sekiro. I thought I'm pretty close now. I'm 41 hours, and I think I'm in the last area.
Shit.
And yeah, I need to get past that because I think I'm starting Hogwarts, but I'm thinking I get the Expanse Telltale.
There's a lot of shit out. Like
Tears of the Kingdom is in that list too. Like,
I need to get back onto. I stopped when I started playing Mario.
Yeah.
I finished Batman, and then I kept coming back because fucking that gamer score. Fucking T shows up on the Arkham Knight one. This man's at 176, and I'm like, I could let that slide. I don't want to let that shit slide. See, I saw your ass up there, and I think you're I'm at like 166, and you're at like 176. I'm like,
Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight. And I'm like, I know this man didn't do all these fucking. I
did a lot, bro.
And I looked over and went, fuck, he did a lot of these goddamn side missions. Should I let it go? And I low key, like I beat the game, and I saw the score, and I went, let me go back in there for a minute. Let me go back in there. And I think I'm close. I think I'm like maybe 10 points away, but it was driving me fucking nuts. I hate that
like
shit.
2016, bro.
That's what makes me mad about it. I'm like, I know he ain't touched this game like 4 or 5 years, but fuck me, I don't like that shit. I didn't like that shit.
I started to do some Firefly missions, and I was like, I'm done with it.
Dude, that's where I'm at too. Fuck that stupid mission. You have to drive that day. They're chasing with the car. I'm like, man.
I'm good. Arkham Knight.
Oh,
I got caught up in gamer score nonsense.
He saw my gamer score. He wanted to leave the game alone, but my gamer score was higher than his, so he wanted to go back.
I was like, I don't know, bro. I might need to go back in that game and do a couple things. I don't like that shit.
It's funny.
But yeah, there's a lot of shit I need to play, and then fucking Mario RPG comes out in like, what is that, like
the 21st,
week?
ain't it?
I thought it was 17th. Am I wrong? I thought it was 17th.
It's soon. It's the what? What'd you say?
I thought it was
isn't it the 17th?
Oh shit, I don't know.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure
it's the 21st is a Tuesday.
Okay, I thought it was this week.
No. Oh God, no. It was this.
So
it's next week.
We kind of moved on. I don't know if maybe we didn't have anything else to say. It's hard to predict, but like
what?
Just getting back to like what Nintendo would do with the more power, more processing power, less limitations. I don't know. Like I said, it's impossible to predict what they do, but I don't know. I don't know why that was like that's such a topic. Like, it's to some people you say that and they like get all defensive about Nintendo. Like, they don't need to do that. All you care about is
because
graphics.
the problem is because Nintendo has spent the last what? Yeah, I'd say what the Wii. It's because the Wii's the only one where I think they actively were like, we're not going to chase power. The Wii U, I think they were properly trying to catch up.
Yeah, just look at Mario Kart 8. Like, they definitely.
So and then I think the Switch is probably another. It was a compromise because you're making the first like real handheld console experience. So I think there's only really been 2 major generations where they weren't really worrying about graphics like that. If I had to
even
really...
still, they made some really good looking games on Wii. Like
Mario
Galaxy 2 looks phenomenal on the Wii.
That's why people are excited to see what they do, because Nintendo be doing this shit with power that people on the 360 weren't even putting out like that. So it's like, and now what if I get? It's like, what if I gave you the real art brush with all the fucking tools? It's like they did all this shit with a trial version of Photoshop, and they're like, oh, what if I give you a month subscription? You're just like, damn.
And it's like, oh fuck, what was I gonna say?
My bad.
Sorry. Well, I was thinking of 2 things. One, just like, you know, the Zelda franchise, the Mario franchise is prime for like super stylized. Like, I'd love to see like a world, like a 3D, really awesome, you know, fidelity, but look like it's made out of like a oil painting or something, but in 3D. Or, you know, there's so many ideas that would take some extra processing power. Like, I always, when Clocked and I used to debate this, I used to always say, well, you wouldn't got Breath of the Wild if they're still on the Wii. You know, if they're still using the Wii lasted another 5 years, you wouldn't have got Breath of the Wild. I'm sorry. It wouldn't have been possible on the Wii. They couldn't have made Breath of the Wild with the Skyward Sword engine. They needed a new engine. And I remember what I was going to say. All those, any people are like, oh, I don't care about that. I'm happy playing N64 still. I'm happy playing Dreamcast still. Tell me you weren't excited when you saw Mario Kart 8, the replay system, when they first showed the mustache in the wind and Luigi stared and the tires getting snow and dirt on them and you go in the water, get cleaned off. Tell me you weren't hyping that shit up when you first saw Mario Kart 8 in its full glory at 60 FPS. Like, that's where it's just like hypocrisy. It's like everyone gets excited when something looks good. Doesn't mean, you know, obviously you want the game to be good. That's more important than it just looking good. But you got a great game and it looks amazing. There's nothing wrong with being excited about that, and there's nothing wrong with being excited about what they could do in the future. So I don't know.
Text. Not at all.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. Just
no, I was checking my Amiibo order, making sure it went through.
Of course. Of course. Let me get
my Zelda Amiibos where they sell out, you know.
Oh Lord. I'm mad I missed out on the Power Method one. So I'm low key angry about that because I didn't think about it.
What was the official last one? What's
Sora?
Sora?
Yeah, Sora. Which is gonna be a wild Amiibo.
Do I have Power Method?
Because I was like, Zora's gonna be wild.
Oh yeah, I do.
It's gonna be a Disney, Nintendo, and fucking Square logo on the bottom of that bitch. It's just gonna be a weird moment.
That's gonna be so strange.
That's what I'm saying. People. I mean, hell, I mean, I still did a little bit of a double take when I saw, when I first got the Sonic one. I was like, yeah, God, that don't look right to have a Sega and Nintendo branded product just in my hand. But I'm also a child. There are things I still want.
I still remember. Did I get a Sonic one?
I had 3 of them bitches. I bought a Japanese one because I was fucking insane.
I can't remember if I had a Sonic Amiibo.
Amiibo?
Oh yeah, he's in my PC. Yeah, he's in my case.
Because it's blast processing.
Wow.
It's Sonic and Mega Man. Who would have guessed? I just went with the blue theme. I went with the blue theme. I have a Zero Suit Samus as well.
Let's fucking go, bro.
So I was just Ayers talk about the next 3D Mario game be a giant sandbox world that blows people away with its creativity. Yeah, like I said about the rain creating like a river. You could have like this flowing sand area where it's just like, and it's not Bayonetta 3 annoying sand river where you get stuck and you have to slowly walk out of it. Just having just like all this cool interactive physics-based stuff for Mario, you know, a 3D Mario game, like completely break the conventions of 3D Mario. Don't worry about stars or, you know, just come up with something. Just have this world and all this interactivity with, like I said, the physics system. You got wind, you got weather, you got stuff. Like, maybe that wouldn't be the best Mario game. I don't know. But just thinking about the possibilities, just kind of, it's exciting. And the only way to get that is with advancements in hardware, with advancements in processing.
Well, if you didn't, like, even on the Switch, again, if you weren't wowed by like New Donk City and the night and then the rain and then all that shit, that shit was beautiful. Okay, that is because of graphics. If you don't care about an advancement in graphics, then you don't care about that stuff. Like, most people care. Like, most people care. It's almost a defensive thing when it comes to Nintendo specifically, because it's like, well, the Nintendo I know doesn't care about graphics. Right now, they used to, and that's even weird to say.
They always care about graphics.
Right.
I think they just got. I think the
they don't
trade-off
care about chasing the.
They're not going to chase the same kind of graphical output. Like, you can still say Breath of the Wild is a graphical showcase, even though it's on a weaker console, because that's something they haven't tried before.
Right.
Like,
well, they were making a practical decision when it came to the Wii. It was like with N64. It was, you know, it was all because that was a thing for everybody. Oh, the graphics, the bits. It was the bit wars, right? And then when we got to
polygons,
you know, it's polygons. How many polygons per second does this thing? Right. So it was always about graphics, and they realized, okay, we're a gaming company. Sega is a gaming company. We can compete with Sega back and forth, IP wise, resources wise. But then when you have Sony, who was a mega corporation, they do movies and they have music studios, they have musicians and artists and all kinds of stuff. They have electronics and then Microsoft steps in. It's like, oh fuck, like we can't compete with these guys on that level. We can't chase that anymore because we put out the GameCube. Phenomenal piece of tech. The GameCube was barely sold 22 million units, and it's just like we can't keep chasing these trends because it's not, you know, giving us the dividends we expect. So we have to be practical as a video games company, mostly only, and do within our means. Because if we have a failure and we spend $500, we spend $600 on a console and charge $300 for it, and it doesn't sell, we are done. We can't do that. So they were making a practical decision. So it's not like, oh, Nintendo doesn't care about graphics. Of course they care. They've always cared about graphics. They just can't compete on that level with the risk. And that's why they can do what they do, because they don't put as much risk out there, and they create phenomenal fucking games without all that. So
part of me also thinks they wanted to challenge themselves anyway. They were like, we can make these graphical showcases, but like, how creative can we get when it's just a slight limitation? Change in power? Yeah,
I think
artists will sometimes put themselves in shitty situations to see what they can make out of it.
Right.
I think they underestimated the amount of HD TV, how quickly the HD TV market.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Blow up.
But was it an underestimation? I just think they didn't want to. They didn't want to go there because they knew how much more expensive that stuff would be.
They said that.
They said that, but was that PR or was that like
they just wanted a system?
We don't really want to do that.
Always $49.99.
Right.
That's what they wanted.
Nintendo was not dumb. Nintendo was a super innovative company. They knew what was coming. I don't think there's no way they didn't know HD TVs were going to do as well as they were doing.
Right.
There's no way. They made a decision based on what, you know, they were willing to put out after the GameCube's failure. You know, like, we can't spend all this money on a console and we have to deal with Microsoft at full force now. We got to deal with Sony that has been full force since 97. Like, we just can't do that. And I understand that.
Yeah, I always look at the GameCube to Wii transition as them actively looking at the path before them and being like, nah, I don't want to fucking do that shit. Because they saw where gaming was headed, they saw where PlayStation was doing, and they saw what Xbox was doing, and just went, yeah, I don't want to fucking do that. And now, because Sony was already kind of going towards their cinematic experiences, but it became very prevalent by the end of the PS3 that like that's the direction they're heading.
Oh yeah.
And Nintendo just kind of like,
you saw Uncharted 2, it was like, all right, we know what this is about now.
Which to me, I think is gonna burn Sony in the long run anyway.
What it already has.
Because, well, yeah, when you think about it, how many Sony first party titles have you been playing this year? Like one. and it just came out.
It's a Spider-Man game.
It just came out, and it's a pre-existing IP that's nothing that doesn't initially
engine.
And you just like,
yeah, all right.
Hey, look,
as much as Retro Death said that he likes, the doing the same, breaking up the getting the cars, getting the robbers out of the cars, the same exact every time you do the exact same thing. Like, I did see that someone said there is more variety than what the one video I watched showed, but at the same time,
that's what I had seen.
Like, that's not. I mean, even though God of War was kind of a similar situation where they just kind of took what was already there and just, expanded the story and added, some different combat, but it definitely, they definitely ramped up the overall experience.
Well, you gotta look at the sales of Sony's first party games, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they sold like Nintendo first party games, they'd be fine. But they sell, 8, 9 million, 10 million. That's not enough. You're talking less
how much
than
money it costs to make them too.
Right. You're talking because they that one of the things that leaked out during the trial was that Last of Us 2 cost $250 million. $250 million to make that game.
That's wild.
And what did that game end up selling? 8 million?
What's 250 million divided by 40? Because that's how many.
It wasn't a lot.
That's how many units to break even.
Yeah, but then you got to do marketing. You got to pay for that too. That's part of your budget as well. I don't know if they added that in. They might have added that in already.
It's at 10 million.
10 million. Yeah.
Well, that was back in 2022, so I guess. I don't think it's so
that's
much
why they're
more.
going to do a remake, trying to.
That's why they're remaking it.
Well, see,
right.
My problem is this, because I made this comment when I did my stream on Sony last week. They need to chill out on Insomniac. And when I'm saying this, because Insomniac has low-key been carrying them for a bit now. They put out
Insomniac.
I know they do
what they're doing.
But a lot of people have mentioned with Spider-Man 2 specifically, there's a lot more bugs than they kind of expected from that game. Nothing like game breaking, but it's obvious that game probably shouldn't have come out as
Horizon
when it did.
Came out buggy.
Did it?
Forbidden West.
Yeah, it did.
By the time I played it, it was
it's mostly fine by the time we played it, but yeah.
My biggest thing is that like the amount of money they have to spend to make these kind of games for them to sell what they're selling. I'm like, at a certain point, you're gonna either have to figure out to lower these fucking budgets, or you're gonna have to.
And they said that. We're not making this up. This is what was the guy before Jim Ryan? I think.
Sean.
Yeah, Sean Layden said that. He said we don't sell enough, basically, of our first party games. That's why they were talking about worried about losing like Call of Duty and shit, because that's where they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're very fearful of what's going to happen with Call of Duty, and that's why they jumped into Jim Ryan said, "Oh, we're going to lose Call of Duty in probably 10 years. We gotta transition and have our own games as a service type game that can sustain us, because basically Call of Duty is what's paying for a lot of their big first party games.
I'm sure they make a lot of money off the bullshit. I was Angry Joe's video on Madden. I haven't paid attention to Madden. I did not know the levels of bullshit.
Oh, it's disgusting. It is disgusting.
It made me sick to my stomach to watch that. And it's like, yeah, he's making the video funny, but at the same time, seeing what they're charging for just an acceleration dance for after you score a touchdown, like all the shit that was in NFL 2K5, a $20 game, and then blocking that was in 2008. There was a non-branded football game where they showed the offensive lineman like blocking properly, and then Madden 24 they just stand there, they don't touch anybody. And it's like, and then they're just charging for all this bullshit. $20 for like a legendary character or a different alternate jerseys and shit for your team. Like,
yeah,
on top of $100 game, there's all this charging. So I'm sure people
remember you used to play Madden.
Shit.
You can get the jerseys by playing the fucking game. You can get all the
well, you can, but it's 100,000 credits, and you get 100 per game. So you got to play 1,000
grinding
games.
Your ass off.
You got to play 1,000 games just to get one fucking dance. And
essentially, you would have to be obsessed.
You can't do it.
No,
you would have to be obsessed with the game to do that. But if you're obsessed with the game, you're probably gonna pay for it anyway. It's a catch. You're caught,
and it's like
bullshit.
You boot the game up, and the very first thing you see is it trying to sell you like the most expensive version.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Like,
I think some Ubisoft games do that.
And it's the most generic UI. It's just black screen with just generic stuff, and then they reuse from the last game. They reused all the Super Bowl celebration shots. They're all the same. They didn't do anything new. And stuff they brought back was in Madden like 2012. This new feature is in Madden, and it's just ridiculous. So I'm sure people pay for that stuff. I'm sure that's another avenue where Sony and Microsoft can make money off the
yeah, but that shit's not.
And it's
well, that's the thing. Because actually, Visor just made me think about it. With the layoffs and whatnot going on, we were talking about with Sony. Obviously, Japan Studios out of there, and they have Media Molecule, and is Media Molecule the one that did? Oh, it's right here.
They did Dreams.
Yeah. So it's like they never, it's a fanboy war a little bit here, a little. They talk about cultivating studios and whatnot. Well, they haven't done really well with their smaller studios when it comes to the cultivating, because they don't feel like they matter enough. They don't feel like they bring in enough.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I think with them, it's either AAA content or bust. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with a AA game. And I think Sony's like,
they didn't even make that. They had Sumo make that.
Yeah. They very much are like
solid game, actually.
They're very much like AA titles. Fuck them. And I'm like, but now you've cornered yourself because you've pretty much ignored a lot of your IP. Like a lot of their IP, they've just said, we'll leave those in previous generations. Okay, fine. But for every old IP you got rid of, like you got rid of 5 or 6 IPs, you might got one new IP. So we got like fucking Horizon for like every 6 other IPs we left in the dust. And you don't want to make AA titles. So what the fuck are you doing?
They did, and then unfortunately, not enough people bought it. Returnal, I'm sure didn't.
Yeah, I was gonna say they make them. Was this in my video? I feel like I'm retreading my video here. They make the AA titles, but they didn't cultivate their audience to care about those AA titles. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they made, stuff. They make stuff like Little Big Planet, and they make Concrete Genie, and they make all this other stuff that their fan base does not give 2 shits about, and that is their fault. I was saying about Nintendo. Nintendo has always cultivated their audiences on caring about that stuff. The smaller games, the AA games, and we actually care. And we sometimes put them along with the AAA stuff. We think of them. I was talking about Hollow Knight and how many ridiculous hours I remember Clocked talking about putting in that game, and that is like a rinky tink.
A couple people made that game.
A couple people made that fucking game, and they put all. It's a game that you could put that many hours in, and people were super anticipating Silk Song, and but I would guess most Sony fans and Xbox fans as well. Although I said they are also starting to cultivate the Xbox fan base to care about these things, when things like Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment. So Sony needs to get back to that and make people care about the smaller games, or only care about big AAA oogly googly graphics games, like I said in the video.
I guess because that's why I said the issue. That's why I said they need to chill off Insomniac, because they've had Insomniac make 3 fucking titles for the PS5
but Insomniac
already.
comes from AA, but they can they can do
I bet
that.
You their games aren't
how
as
big their
expensive.
team is.
I bet you Spider-Man 2 wasn't half the price of Last of Us.
No, it probably wasn't, because they
no.
reused the engine from the original game. I think the problem is that when you only got one studio who's put, because think about it, Wolverine, that's their 4th game on a console that's only been out for 3 years, and you're just like, damn. But like, no, they don't have any other studio that's pushing titles like that.
Or is everybody else?
I don't fucking know. That's what's killing me. Like,
where's the guys who made Ghost of Tsushima?
I thought we would have seen something about that.
A sequel. They put out that.
Was that Sucker Punch?
Yeah, they
put out Sucker Punch. Yeah, that's Sucker Punch.
Again, another studio that used to be a AA studio.
And I mean, Ghost of Tsushima is not on the level. As much as I really like the game, it's not on the level, like production wise. You can tell it's not. It's not Last of Us and Uncharted and God of War. It's AA to Sony, I bet. Even though it's.
But how much money they spend on that game? Because it looks super polished.
Yeah, it did.
But like if you look, hold on.
I wouldn't have looked at Ghost of Tsushima and said, "Oh, that's a AA game." I looked at that as a AAA title.
I thought it was AAA.
Yeah, so like that was. I don't know if you saw it, but Baron put out a video, put out his state of play.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah,
dude, I was in tears. I was in tears because he pretty much said the same shit. It's like we're firing our heads up there at Sony. We don't know when nothing's coming out. We don't know when nothing's coming out. We got a VR that came out this year. We got a Portal. We got a Slim, and we ain't making no fucking money. Like what the?
Yeah, why does Sony keep putting out these fucking peripherals that they don't support? All this hardware they don't support themselves.
Because think about it. I think in the next week or two, we got
Horizon Call of the Wild was not in the Horizon game. It was a totally different. It was like a mountain climbing game that they put and made Horizon.
And Aloy was just at the beginning, right?
Right. So why are you going to put out this expensive ass hardware and not have a big first party title to really push it? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly. I'm trying to figure out why the fuck. Just this year, we've gotten VR 2. We have the Portal coming out in like a week or two. And then the Slim. Now, the Slim, fine. It's replacing the old model. We'll let that one slide. But you got 2 other pieces of hardware that, one, you've separated the fan base for with the VR 2 because it's not backwards compatible.
That's the stupidest thing. I'd have a PS5 right now if it wasn't for that shit. I'm mad.
And then the Portal that's like a glorified, like, here's an extra thing. And I've been hearing from people like, oh, that's going to be sold in store. I'm like, bro, don't sell that in store. You about to have the biggest backlash from people thinking it's like a Switch.
Yeah. People thinking it's a handheld gaming console.
I'm like, bitch, that should have just been an online thing because people are going to look at you like, what do you mean I need a PS5 for this?
I can't wait till that thing gets the price drop to $100 and then I pick one up and can play.
Yeah. So you'll wait about a month then, because it's not gonna take long. I don't even know why they had
maybe 6 months. I'll give it 6 months.
That depends on if I can play it for 3 hours, because right now my phone, I mean, if I watch a couple of YouTube videos, I'm down like 40%, and it's like
Jesus.
It's old. The phone's
you
like
got a bad
40.
battery in there. Yeah, I think it's old. That's kind
of wild.
Pretty short.
I've had it over 4 years now, so
yeah.
It's got 8 gigs of RAM. Still got a lot of RAM for a phone, but the Razer phone 2.
It doesn't matter because you're streaming.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But the battery, the battery doesn't last. So.
That and and then here's another set of headsets coming out on top of all that, and you're just kind of like,
don't forget those earbuds.
Yeah, and I'm just like, Sony, why is it that your major accomplishment this year is pretty much just Spider-Man 2? That's it. That's literally it. And you're just like, let me put out these fucking peripherals.
Next year better have some games.
Well, that's why I like Baron's video. Baron's like, Bro, we don't have any announcements.
There's no map. There's no roadmap.
We have nothing. We don't know a goddamn thing that's coming out for PlayStation 5 other than vague. Well, this will be in 2024 at some point.
Yeah. Now that's acceptable for Nintendo because that's what Nintendo used to do. Actually, Nintendo has a better roadmap than Sony does right now.
2024, yeah. For the
they got a new. They likely have a new console coming out, and we still have a better roadmap.
And we're sitting there at PlayStation like, bruh,
what's going on?
We've had one game this year, and you haven't talked about nothing else. The first major title on your console right now, I think, is Final Fantasy. I think is Rebirth. So your buddy Square got you covered.
It's actually Modern Warfare 3.
already
outsold Spider-Man. It's just going past Spider-Man.
Well, we already knew that was going to happen. Let's be real here.
That's some sad stuff. That's some sad.
And it's like, this wasn't even supposed to be like a full Call of Duty. They literally
no. It's clearly not. It's barely a 2-hour campaign. Some dude
gave it a 4.
got follow. Yeah, they gave it a 4. Some dude got follow.
Really, that's cool.
He put in a challenge. He said, "Can I beat this game fast enough to where I can get my Steam refund?" And he did.
Mm-hmm.
He beat it and got a refund from Steam.
Anybody who buys Call of Duty for the campaign, though, there's something.
Yeah. Obviously,
that's just wild. That's wild to me.
But
it's still kind of bullshit. Like that should be part of the game.
Is the multiplayer like fully featured? Is it got?
It's not out yet, so we don't know.
Yeah. Is it gonna have as many maps and stuff? Are they cutting that shit back? It's like,
does it matter as much when you have Warzone?
Yeah,
that's what I was worried about with Warzone. Like, is Warzone going to cut in to major Call of Duty releases?
I wish, like, peak Call of Duty for me was Black Ops 2, having LAN parties at the house. I do like yearn for that to come, like, to be back. But it just when you make a new game, when you make a game every year, I don't know. It
was also just a different time.
And it's like, I would love to have like some really good maps and some really solid Call of Duty gameplay, but I'm not buying it.
Yeah,
the file size right there. The file size is ridiculous.
Right. He brought up a good
His
Ayers is on fire tonight, man. Ayers is on point. You're right. Sony, this is what they've already been doing anyway, but yeah, they're looking to pay for more third-party exclusives to cover.
Well, they got
in-house droughts.
They got Square doing all that fucking.
Yeah, we got Final Fantasy 16, and we don't even talk about that game no more, man.
Well, 2 years ago, that Kana to me felt like, I knew it wasn't Sony who made it, but that was a nice addition to the lineup that year.
What's the cat game I played?
Stray last year.
Stray, right? That felt like, even though it technically wasn't, it felt like a Sony exclusive.
It's just even with the Switch that year, they had 2 Monster Hunter games. Like, that really was a for them, that was a strong year in Nintendo. So it does help. But yeah, let's get to the Switch 2 while we're talking about all this, because last week I brought it up.
That's in the topic.
Last week I brought it up, but I kind of felt like, I don't know, watching T's video, and I was like, I don't know if what I was saying like came through correctly. I was like,
did I even talk really much about what you were saying?
No, I don't think you did, but it made me wonder, like, was I clear with what I was trying to say? Like, I just think they have such a winning formula with the Switch that, honestly, I don't think they need to, like, other than just what's the word, polish, get a better UI, get better Joy-Cons. I don't think they need to do anything other than just have another version of the Switch with more powered. And the rumor, or what Digital Foundry's video on this T239 chip or whatever, and the possibilities graphically, they got what they think is an equivalent of 2050 downclocked. And that was running Cyberpunk fine. It was running all these games like Control, like all these PS4 games, like perfectly fine. And it's like, I think that's all they need to do. I don't know. Maybe others disagree.
I'm not sure if anybody disagreed. I think
we just don't think Nintendo's going to do that.
But do you think they need to do more? Like, do they need something?
I literally don't need to do more than that because, again, cultivating audiences seem to be a big word. Cultivating a pretty huge audience with the Switch, and the Switch is at its core a traditional gaming console. It has traditional controls, and you're playing obviously first party big Nintendo games, but they brought you back to expecting third party games, and mostly obviously what was that, seventh gen, a lot of seventh gen ports.
Yeah,
but they've done some 8th gen ports as well. They've done some you know like Doom and all that kind of shit. Like they've done some stuff to make you think, yeah. And they're doing Hogwarts pretty soon, right? Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
So
should be next month, right?
Cultivating people to think that, okay, yeah, with a little bit more power, we're going to be able to play the stuff that everybody else has. Obviously, it's still not going to be on the highest level, but it's going to be on a nice playable level on the Switch too. And that's, yeah, you're right. I think that's all they'll need, and they'll still sell pretty well, because as much as I love, and as much as a lot of people love these handheld PCs, they're not going to catch on like a Switch will. It's not going to happen. Like I knew it was going to, like I said, the potential of them to sell well is there, and the Steam Deck especially has sold way beyond what any PC handheld has ever done. But you're not going to get more than 10 million tops on a PC. I mean, that is a high end.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get more than 10 million, because most people, most average gamers don't care for the PC side of gaming. They don't. That's just not a thing for them. It's the lack of convenience that they like. They want to just be able to put a game in or download a game and play it, right? And that's why I said the Steam Deck is really good for that, because that's exactly what you're doing. It is a console, but they don't sell it in the store. So nobody's gonna go to go sign up for Steam first, and then you're asking too much for the average audience. And then you got Lenovo, and what's the other one? Asus ROG Ally.
The one in my Best Buy, that thing is so laggy. The UI, the operating system is so
yeah,
laggy.
It is.
It's not viable for the average person.
It is a nice, comfortable.
It's nice,
though.
yeah. It is, yeah. They're all pretty nice, but the average consumer is not going to care for that. So Nintendo will still have that handheld gaming market on lock if they want to just do what you said, make it more powerful, and put out obviously a more hardware wise, physical hardware, make that bitch a little tougher than you made the Switch. And then you're good to go.
I think
that's all you got to do.
Creative with like the UI and stuff, and give us some.
Yeah, obviously, those are things that are really nice. Like those are things that we want. We're talking about the need. All they need to do is give us a Switch with PS4 power, and they're good to go. That will be enough for the market.
Do you think the market would be? There's no way it would achieve Switch 1 sales. I don't. If that's just what they do,
probably not.
I don't think it would achieve Switch 1 sales.
They get creative. Who knows? Like
it depends on what. I think that's why we said the issue isn't the fact that what they need to do, or what they're more likely to do, which is they're gonna try to do something. Like I don't see them just being like, we're just gonna do an improved version of this.
Yeah, because even with the Switch, they tried to do something that nobody cared about as much, but they still did it. They still did the camera and the Joy-Cons, and they did the cardboard gaming line, and they did some out there stuff. Heck, even Ring Fit Adventure is one of those quirky out there things, and that actually did really well for them. Yeah. So they're still gonna do stuff like that. But I think at the core of what the Switch 2 is, it's going to be what the Switch is a core gaming console, and then they'll add in their gimmick, subsequently, to get attention. Because that stuff got my attention with the Switch early on. Was look, the whole camera thing, and even though it turned out to not be a great game, all that quirky stuff in the 1-2 Switch was. Like, it was enticing to me. But that's the kind of stuff that they're going to use to get the so-called non-gaming core gaming audience, and I think that stuff worked with Switch.
Here's a question.
I think non-gamers saw that stuff and like, oh, that's kind of fun.
With the inevitable death of Twitter or X, is Nintendo gonna have to try to do a Miiverse like thing so that people can share, or are they gonna? I don't know what the alternative people. Doesn't Instagram have one? I never used it, but
I wish. I hope.
Because I just think I think the potential. It doesn't have to be Miiverse, but I think Nintendo can just. They have the creative minds for gaming. Just somehow find somebody to take the person who created the ARMS online like system.
Oh man!
Find a way to you turn that system on and it's just exciting. It's it doesn't have to be I'm gonna turn this on to watch Disney Plus. It's just have something that catches that just makes you feel something more than just static icons. Even a PlayStation, Xbox, just have something that blows people away. That almost could be the gimmick, could be the software side of it. And Muhammad, I was gonna say analog triggers will be the gimmick. He said voice chat, party system, and achievements.
Achievements. Yeah, I mean, here's when the inevitable day comes that Nintendo Switch Online goes down, will anybody care? I think they'll care way less than they cared about the eShop or the Wii Shop, because that shit had personality galore. You're not just losing a store, you're losing all those cool little music cues, and you're losing all that kind of stuff. And the same thing with the Wii U. When the online went for that, you knew that your Wada Plaza was going to be way lamer.
Yeah, just booting the Wii U up is so much lamer after they got rid of that stuff.
It was just so I won't be able to see the games and who's playing them and the little congregations under each little game. That's so sad that's just gone forever. It's gone. That shouldn't be gone forever. Bring that back. That's the kind of stuff that I think you need to bring. I don't say you need to, but that's the kind of stuff that would be the gimmicks, if you will, of a Switch 2. Bring that kind of stuff to the table.
Because I don't honestly I don't know what else. I mean, they could do a dual screen Switch. Have dual screen. And
why?
Honestly, as much as I love
what would that do?
The DS and 3DS, I never that second screen wasn't oh my god, I have to have it. In games that didn't use it, I didn't care. I didn't care.
Here's the secret. I'm sure everybody knows it already. The secret of the dual screen is that it was a tool for DRM. It was a tool to keep those games from being pirated.
Yeah,
it's harder to pirate a game that needs two screens.
And there are some cool uses of it.
There's definitely cool uses of it.
Just having a map on easily access.
Of course,
that's cool stuff. And
but did those games need that second screen? No.
And even Splatoon 2, what was it? The L trigger brings up the map, and I mean it's they found a pretty elegant solution to some
I mean, I miss being able to tap, and jump right to your party. But at the end of the day, that didn't destroy the game that it wasn't in it. They found a way around it. So
yeah, I mean, obviously it's impossible for my mind to try to come up with some thing, because Nintendo, no way did I ever imagine a handheld that you could just set in a dock and it's on your TV. And
the biggest problem with a dual screen Switch is that, okay, you're going to dock it. Then what?
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have a second screen, so it doesn't work for both ways.
True.
The thing about the Switch that works is that it works the same way in handheld that it works on your TV. It's one screen. You got traditional controls. That's why a dual screen Switch makes no sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Nintendo is covering their bases when they make patents like that. It's not, something they're actually. Remember the patent for the Wii U, original Wii U controller?
Yeah.
Or Switch controller, not Wii U.
Yeah.
Switch. That fucking and somebody mocked it up, and then people thought it was real. A Robert Rule too.
Yeah.
I was like, that shit is not real, bro. That's just so not real.
the basic patents, they just have to like convey what they're trying to do. It's not about the design of the system. It's about what
not at all
the tech does. So Collecta said something interesting, and I 100% agree. If you're just going to do another Switch, a hybrid, and have it be more powerful, it can't be a Wii U to Switch, GameCube to Wii visual leap. It has to be Wii to Wii U or close to that. You know, it has to be a big jump in visuals if you're gonna have the same type of system. Maybe even have the same joy. I mean, I hope it doesn't have the same Joy-Cons, but
you think so?
It has to have, like, maybe it won't be as big as Wii to Wii U, but it has to be noticeably, like, without a doubt, games just like look vastly better than Switch, I think. Otherwise, it's like, you know, or it has to be moderately better visually, but be like ultra fast. Like, get rid of just, even when you close games now, going to your little online to the far left on the menu and you're trying to pick your icon, it's so sluggish and slow. The system just it just can't. I mean, I got the OLED, so not that that's overclocked or anything, but it's not a day.
It's got 1 gig for that kind of shit, right?
And it's like, it should be snappy. It should be like the user interface should be simple, intuitive, fun, and then apparently one of the rumors about the Breath of the Wild 60 thing was like there was 0 loading. It was instant. Every fast travels and stuff were like 2 seconds and stuff. If it has that, plus it's a nice graphical improvement, maybe it's not as, you know, the Wii to Wii U situation. But I mean, so if you could play, like, what was one of the newer games they showed? Like Cyberpunk. If you can play Cyberpunk at 720p in handheld, maybe upscaled to 1080p with DLSS at a lock 30 with decent settings, that's a pretty big jump over what we're getting with like The Witcher 3 and Doom on Switch. Like that would be a pretty big jump.
Yeah, and that's all I said. Steam Deck power. That's all you really
couple that with, you know, quick loading, fun or intuitive user interface with creative stuff. Like that to me would be awesome. Like that's what it needs. If it's just another basic UI, you know, marginal leap, then it's
copy Steam.
Yeah. Then don't even bother. Don't even put out a Switch 2 if it's just like, if people are gonna be like, oh, that could run on Switch. Like, yeah, obviously you can downscale, but you shouldn't even be questioning if the next 3D Mario game could have been a Switch game. Like, to me,
right?
I'm imagining like, trying to think of a, like, you know, Sackboy is a bad one. Like I'm trying to think of like the appropriate like equivalent for like Knack 2 technically looked good in times, but still it was pretty, art style stuff was pretty trash, so I can't really think of a good example for like a Mario game. But like Legend of Zelda should be, you know, we should just be blown away, whether it's got a really cool art style or not. We should be blown away, like, and say, you know, that could have ran on Switch. Then to me that's then they didn't do enough.
Well, if you think about it, I saw somebody's video that made this point. It was like the next Zelda should be visually very different. Because we've only had one Zelda or one sequel to a Zelda game that kind of looked the same and used the same stuff, and that was Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Those are the only ones that actually did that. Every other Zelda has been wildly different visually than the last one. So, and I guess you can say, well, Spirit Tracks and stuff like that copied Wind Waker, but I'm talking like for mainline games.
Oh wait, those are mainline T.
No, sorry, not mainline game. That's not the word I'm saying. For the console games, for console games, they haven't really, you know, they haven't done that. So,
and Breath of the Wild, the Tears of the Kingdom, they use the same, obviously, same art style,
the same world. Obviously with some difference. People.
I mean, honestly,
say DLC again.
Just kind of laying out what I said I want it to be. Gets me excited. Like it does. And I don't care if to have another 3-hour battery life at the launch. The launch Switch.
Honestly, that's what people go crazy about this battery life stuff. But I think because most of the time when it comes to like these handheld PCs, you're just under 2 hours. I don't think that's enough. You get it to 3 hours, 3.5 hours. I think that's enough. I think that's enough for the fidelity you're asking for. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, you can't get too much better graphic or battery life with these games, with these,
that's true.
The kind of graphics they're outputting. There's not much you can do other than to make the battery the same size as the goddamn console. And then how heavy is that bitch going to be? So I think the battery life, if you can get it to 3 hours for one of the higher end games, I think you're in good shape.
Yeah, because Breath of the Wild on the day one Switch was like 2 hours 45 minutes for me. Right. Usually, playing handheld.
Yep, that's what it was about. I remember all the tests going.
And another thing too, like the Switch 2, yeah, all good in handheld, but I want the dock experience to be like vastly superior to the Switch 1.
Vastly.
Like,
oh yeah.
To the Switch 1, I wanted like the dock experience to be like, no question. I don't feel like, wow, they really sacrificed this to have the handheld to stuff be good. Like, I don't know exactly what I mean by that. I just want to. I know when I'm playing on the TV, I want to, and maybe like all the extra processing will be that, but like fast memory, fast storage, like just have a really, great experience, good looking games. I mean, it's not like 4K, they don't look man. Yeah, 4K I think is completely out of the question. I think 1080, like an actual 1080p with higher settings.
We get 2K?
Possibly upscaled. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I think, like I said, I compared it to M. Night Shyamalan. Not every movie needs a twist ending. I don't think every Nintendo system needs like some game-changing, off-the-wall, no one expected type thing. It's cool. Like, it's exciting when they show us stuff and we're like, holy shit, how'd they think of that? Like, but at the same time, I don't think they need to do anything. Like, you don't need to reinvent controllers. I mean, just they've perfected, just add analog triggers and when
they were doing all that controller stuff, the controller hadn't really been perfected yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And probably until after GameCube was and obviously they went into the Wii, and then they had to do what they're doing because that's what the Wii was about, the motion control stuff. But by the time you got to the Wii U Pro controller, we're pretty much good. We're pretty much good to go as far as the controller goes.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you can add little extra things. You got haptic feedbacks and stuff like that. And Switch does that too with the HD Rumble and stuff. So there's not much you can do. You can't keep reinventing that wheel.
And honestly, going back to the Wii U Pro controller, I think the Switch Pro controller is vastly more comfortable for me. Like,
it's definitely way more comfortable.
I prefer
it's the layout. Everything feels better. The Wii U just feels a little bit like the sticks being up just feels a little weird to me, and
a little light probably.
Kind of
I think it was like it doesn't have all the weight to it. That's my thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, Xbox One controller is great. The Series X was doesn't feel as big of a difference at first.
This is my favorite traditional controller. I love it. The Series X.
Because I thought the 360 controller was great until I went back to it after years of the Xbox One controller, and I'm like,
it's like, nope.
So I know, Trell, you were gone while we had that discussion.
Sorry, my sister called and wanted to show the baby. I'm like, come on, guys. One? No, it's just more.
Still.
Well, I guess technically not. I guess he technically be considered a toddler. He turned 3 last month, so. But she don't care. She's like,
when you're a parent, that's still a baby.
Yeah. I don't think people still think of them as babies for a bit.
I still call my kids babies.
I got a new baby right behind
13
me.
Years old.
5-month-old kitty.
Who's the mother? Nah.
But
my kids are 11 and 13. They're still my babies. I don't care.
Just to wrap things up, I mean, what do you think Switch 2? What would you be happy with? What would you be like, oh, really? That's all it, what would kind of disappoint you? What do you need for your
I want to be surprised to some degree. I don't need to be with new consoles, it was never like a situation. With new consoles, it was never like a thing of like I want this, that, and the third. The only thing the stuff I want from Nintendo is like all like UI related. Fucking, that's the stuff I want. But in terms of the console itself, fucking surprise me because there are plenty of situations. I remember looking at the gamepad, being like, okay, that's interesting. And then that's my as long as you pique my interest, that's all I really care about with that stuff. I like the elements. With Nintendo consoles, I always want to be surprised. Sony and Microsoft are the ones where I'm like, oh, it's stronger. That's
more powerful.
It's stronger. Sure. Thank goodness it's stronger. Xbox got another 16 variations of the damn controller. It's blue, pink, and indigo reddish or some shit. Like, I'm fine. I don't know. I'm a simple man. Just as long as you can intrigue me, that's fine. Nintendo's always been kind of good at that anyway. Even their non-successful consoles have gotten my interest. So,
do you think it could be successful if they deviate from the hybrid?
When you say so you mean like go back to a regular console instead of like that all hinges on what that console is. Then the console, you're like, you are gonna have to play the game. If you make a traditional console, you're gonna have to play that game, Microsoft.
I'm biased because I live in a world where most of my gaming at this point, I can go handheld if I want. I play a lot of Steam Deck and shit, obviously. And even my Xbox experiences, a lot of them are on the cloud and through my Steam Deck. So I'm biased. I can't really see outside of that, and I'm like, why would you not have your console if you've already done it? That would be pretty stupid to go to.
It'd be a downgrade.
Traditional
catastrophic failure if they got rid of the hybrid handheld.
That is a huge part of what makes the Switch is to be able to switch.
And like in Clapton's video, Nintendo still has IPs that we have not seen in like full HD. Like they still can wow us.
Yeah.
So it's
my thing. The only thing I would say is going into the Switch 2. If we're gonna have a hybrid nature, it's very obvious that the Switch is more towards the handheld gamer than it is the console gamer. Maybe doing more things for the console gamer going into this next console would be kind of nice. Like pretty much doing what a lot of people have already suggested with the dock, making the dock more of a like boost to what your home because that's like the biggest thing. Like as far as handheld, there's not a lot you can do. There's not like a lot. But that home experience, there's definitely room for improvement on that. And the OLED took some steps, but we need more than that. That's all I'm saying. That's where I'd be at with it.
Yeah. But you got to be a little careful with that whole boost idea because it's like you're gonna have to companies or studios, developers are gonna have to figure that out. Like, this is how the game plays in handheld. That's just another layer of difficulty for them.
Well, that's true. Okay, then I guess my question is, how much is too much?
Well, they already do that right now. They have to. It's not as big of a jump. That's what Nintendo. Right. That's why they.
Yeah, they already do it. Yeah.
That's why they downclock it. It's not for the. I mean, the CPU runs at half speed. It's 1 gigahertz instead of 2. They did that for the handheld, and then they didn't want it to bump up in docked because then you have problems because a game might be using the CPU for physics or AI. And then you get it in handheld. Now it has half the processing power. So, like, literally, they have to. So they cut out
the cater to the handheld experience,
and they cut out the element of the developers having to worry. But this GPU changed, so they already have to, optimize for both. But yeah, it would be more challenging to optimize for a bigger gap, and it would have to be just because it'd have to just be resolution and stuff, because they can't have the GPU boost be a significant where they can do things that they can't do in handheld. So
you could just look at, we always tout how awesome it was in the 16-bit era, where you had two different versions basically of a game on Super Nintendo versus the Sega Genesis, right? Sometimes it was a completely different game. Sometimes it was just a game missing certain stages on one version, and or music or whatever. I watch Console Wars, one of my favorite channels on YouTube. I'm watching them for freaking 10 years now, and they talk about the different differences between the same game on a Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis. So we're way past that now. You have a situation where studios or developers don't even want to use the tools differently that each console offers. And when it comes to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, there are different tools available there, but they want to do a kind of one size fits all type of thing when it comes to stuff. So, and that pisses off a lot of fans who know, hey, you're not using these tools. So when you come to talk about doing that on one console, specifically just on one console itself, and having to cater to a little bit more power with the dock, and I don't see them going. The farthest they'll go is the upscaling of the output, the display output. I don't think they'll do much more than that as far as the differences between handheld and
it is a slippery slope. If you
I get that.
I wish though, because maybe because handheld isn't going to need DLSS unless they're trying to run the game at 360 and have it appear 720p. Then you would need it in handheld. But otherwise, if that's like they said that chip that NVIDIA came up with for cars, it has a completely separate chip for the AI upscaling and stuff, for the deep learning. But if you just have that in the dock, then that would just basically, then it wouldn't have to run off of the low power and of the battery, and you could have that just completely run separately as part of the dock, and then the Switch itself, the CPU GPU, is doing its thing, and then the dock.
And at that point, the dock will be $200.
Yeah, exactly. But if that
I made fun of the dock, and I'm like, but then Steam comes out with their fucking dock, and that bitch is $100 too, and I'm like, why are these docks that all they do is upscale it to the TV? And yeah, they got a couple of USB-C ports on it, but why is this thing $100? I just don't get it.
Why was the original Switch dock $90? It had a little tiny. All it did was it had a board to take the USB-C and split up to two USB or 3 USB ports and an HDMI. Plenty of USB Type-C has plenty of bandwidth to handle all that. And that's the one thing they said, this new chip has the bandwidth to do HDMI 2.1. Would Nintendo even bother? Because they're not doing 120 FPS. They're not doing 4K 120. There's no... but there are some features as part of HDMI 2.1, like auto game mode for your TVs that support it, so you don't have to switch. If you use your TV for movies and gaming, you don't have to switch to game mode to play games, so hopefully there's some features they don't completely skip out on. But we'll have to see. I know we got, I think it's next year we're gonna
we'll next year
we might get a tease, or I don't know, maybe they'll wait till after like the last game of the summer, the Princess Peach or whatever in summer. Maybe they'll wait till after that to unveil it, because I thought they were waiting until we had Star Fox and Paper Mario in 2016. I think they're, my theory, because everyone's asking, where's the NX? Where's the NX? I said, they're going to wait till Paper Mario comes out. They're not going to kill that game. The developers who made that game, they're not going to say, you know what, we don't.
Yeah, it would undercut
them you in all their work you guys did.
It's going to play on the Switch 2 anyway?
So that's why I guessed October for the NX reveal, and I actually got the right month and day.
Actually, T makes a good point. If it's backwards
but
compatible,
if it's cross, if it's a cross gen, then that one
you can get away with announcing it early.
Yeah.
Then by that logic, I guess my only problem is that when you talk about upgrading the Switch 2, like there's not like I think we said it before, but like there's not a lot else you can do with the handheld side. Like we already got OLED. Like we got. I mean,
what
obviously
is the
you can
fiscal year for Nintendo?
March.
And in March, right? Yeah, it's March.
I think we're gonna learn about it in April. I really do. I think it'll be April, May at the latest. Yeah. If it's coming out next holiday, next fall, I think
it's gonna be
April or May.
Do you think they're gonna release in the holiday?
I think they probably will. I don't, unless they're gonna release it in the summer. I don't think they're gonna do that. So I don't think holiday. I think like September or something. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, you're thinking okay, gotcha. I thought you were thinking like November.
No. I think it's September, like N64.
Yeah, you could do that. I'm curious because with the Switch coming out in March and that doing so well for them,
they're clearly not doing that now. There's no way they're going to do it.
If they were going to, we would have seen. We've already been a tease already,
right?
And we didn't. So, I'm curious, because didn't Mario Kart's DLC finally end? Like they finally put out the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have anything
Mario Kart
else.
8 is finally done after 10 years. Whatever it's been.
That is, I'd be curious to look at retrospectives of that game after like 9 gets announced or some shit. Because I'm just like, 8 has been a fucking experience.
And at the end of the day, can we hate? We can't really hate on it. Obviously, we can a little bit because it's like Mario Kart has never done that before. Yeah. But we're in the games as a service era, and that happens all the time. Where games last 10 years, 5, 7 years.
And it wasn't really offensive.
No, we didn't know that was going to be the case with Mario Kart. Obviously, I don't think Nintendo did when they first dropped Mario Kart 8 on Wii U. They're like, we got to re-up some of these funds that we lost out on. So
they must have beyond made that money back. Like, good God!
Come on. What is it? 50 million units now at this point? Come on.
Yeah. It's like almost, it's ridiculous.
It was profitable on Wii U. Let's not act like the Wii U version sold terrible. They sold 7 or 8 million copies on the Wii U.
Yeah, which was like over half the install base.
Yeah, it was like half the install base. So they made their money on Wii U, and this is just money in the bank.
This is just icing on the cake.
Right, it was just cash on hand.
So I'm not mad at it, but I'm just curious how people are gonna look at it in retrospect. Like, damn, that was a decade of Mario Kart.
Well, I think, like I said, because we're in the era of games as a service, and Mario Kart 8 wasn't a game as a service, but it lasted. It had that kind of longevity, and yeah, we still got obviously really late DLC, but we got DLC for it. So, it
also makes me very curious how 9 is gonna go because you've remade so many fucking tracks.
Yeah, is this going to be oh my God, yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with 9?
I feel like I brought that up or mentioned something briefly about that. Maybe it wasn't in the podcast. Maybe it was just in the chat.
No, you've mentioned it before, though. You've mentioned it before.
I saw that trailer for the last pack, and I'm like, I don't know if that's the last one, but I think
it is.
I'm like, at this point, with all the new characters and tracks, like, who cares about Mario Kart 9 like, what's Mario Kart 9 going to be able to do? Like, we got 32 tracks, after they just released 60, some tracks or whatever it was.
Well, they got some new characters they can put in there, like Splatoon. Oh, wait.
Damn.
Like, Mario Kart 8, to me, I'm sure they made a ton of money off the DLC, but at the same time, I don't think they were thinking long term.
Some of the cheapest DLC of all times too. That's you got your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It's just damn.
What are they gonna do? Like seeing like Bowser's Castle 3 from the Super NES, like with gravity and stuff. Like that shit that would have blew me away like 5 years ago. Now it's just like perfect. You've seen so many tracks. It's hard to get excited for me personally. Somebody who
you can have the Bowser Castle from Wonder, something.
So it's just like I think they just went too much with the content with 8 Deluxe.
They
could have saved. They should have saved that for Mario Kart 9.
You know how many copies they sold?
I can't say I can't. It did too well. The only way I would say that is if 9 came out and 9 was like super lackluster. Although in my opinion, you shouldn't put out a 9 for almost a
excuse
generation.
Me, but none of those, maybe a few of them, but most of those DLC tracks would not be in a. This is a new Mario Kart game. Like they're not on that level. They're not on the level of this is a serious Mario Kart track.
Definitely be. Like the tour tracks for sure. Maybe they are. I don't know.
There's a few in there that we like. Oh, that's a Mario. That's a new Mario Kart.
But the retro tracks for sure, like got the full treatment. And I think there's a couple brand new, not even in tour tracks that looked pretty cool. But the thing is,
well then they got to go hard on just new tracks.
But are you gonna be excited about Mario Kart 9 $70 game with 32 tracks when you have like 100 something on Mario Kart 8? Like.
Well, it depends on how soon it comes out. I would think they're probably going.
Are you doubting their ability to sell you a Mario Kart game? Is that what you're doing right now? I know
it's going to do well, but are you going to be excited?
Is that what you're doing right now?
I think you know what it would be is that Mario Kart 9 is going to be completely different. It's almost like
actually.
I am not worried about Nintendo putting together a Mario Kart game that I'm going to want to buy.
I know, but is it going to be exciting?
I look at it in the same way.
If I want to buy it, it's got to be exciting enough.
Yeah, when I look at it the same way I look at a new Smash game. It's going to have to be completely different because we know for a fact.
Did you buy Splatoon 3, Juice?
No.
I haven't bought it either because this shit wasn't exciting enough. Yeah. So I'm not like some shill that's just gonna buy everything they put out.
Would Smash Ultimate been exciting if it wasn't Smash Ultimate and didn't have every character and had less characters than what we had with all the DLC and stuff from Wii U and 3DS? Like, I think they gotta. I almost think they gotta do just.
I think they're gonna go back.
I'm gonna say Smash is what.
I think they gotta do a Nintendo Kart situation. You gotta get outside
I'm worried
the Mario.
about. I'm worried about what they're gonna.
No, they're gonna.
You might get a Smash Deluxe. You might get that for the Switch. Hey.
But I think
I wouldn't be surprised.
Just all the
Smash, unfortunately, I think Smash runs in the same direction.
You know what? If all the characters are on that disc or cartridge, I'm buying that bitch because that's what I want.
I'm not gonna pay for Nintendo Switch Online, so.
Well, yeah, we
actually by then we might. I might want.
You don't need to pay for it online.
It depends on what it depends. It also depends on what the online experience is. It depends on what the online experience is.
It might be so compelling. You go, all right.
Hey, shut the hell up! Don't lie. We don't know that. I'm not giving them that.
Maybe they.
I'll give them that on game design. I'm not giving that on online. Never.
Maybe they did all this DLC with new characters and tracks because they know that they're gonna expand beyond just Mario Kart. You know, the Mario IP. And
it might become Super Nintendo.
They put their toes in with the Animal Crossing Zelda stuff, and that was in F-Zero. Like, to go all in with like all.
There's a lot of shit in there, bro.
Metroid tracks and.
Yeah.
You got Link riding around on a fucking motorcycle. What the fuck? Like Link.
That's how you get bitches. That's how he got bitches. Okay.
I'm just saying, bro.
Don't ever question my man's ability to get some bitches.
They can do anything now.
He ain't gotta talk. He ain't gotta talk.
But I don't know, Terrell. You brought up when. They gotta wait till the end of the generation to do 9. I mean,
I low key think they're gonna wait.
That's another reason why I think it was.
I low key think they're gonna wait mainly because we've had a whole generation of Mario Kart,
and it just got new content.
I don't imagine them being
Mario Kart Switch 2 is coming out in the first goddamn year. I guarantee.
You think it won't. That's
I guarantee you.
Really?
I guarantee you.
Damn,
it's gonna be out for the first year. By summer 2025, you will have a new Mario Kart. I guarantee you. I guarantee it.
I wonder how many of those.
I'm telling you, they'd be stupid not to do it. They just sold 50 million copies of a 10-year-old Mario Kart game. There's no way they're gonna let Switch 2 sit for that long with no Mario Kart game. No way. Not happening.
That's why I think the DLC might have been a long-term bad idea because. Just like
I don't think it's gonna matter. I think they're gonna have a new thing in this Mario Kart game. That's oh shit! I never even thought of that. That's gonna make you buy the next Mario Kart game.
It needs to. I mean, if it's just, if it's
gonna be a new gimmick, and you can be all for it.
If it's basically Mario Kart 8, but with new tracks,
the game.
Yeah, it needs to do more than just put out.
It's going to
16 new tracks and 16 retro.
If it comes out before 2025, it definitely needs to. Now, if you give it time, like I'm thinking, because it makes more sense not to fucking put it out right after all this content. That's like fucking. But then again, I said the same thing, but Splatoon did the same fucking thing, and it was fine. Like even though
Splatoon 3 sold really well.
Yeah, Splatoon 3 still sold well. So it's obvious.
I didn't buy it. It still sold well.
The casual gamer still doesn't give a fuck. So I guess.
Yeah, you sit here in your box. You're in your Nintendo. This is what you need, box. That don't matter to the outside of that.
Listen, there's only 4 corners on this bitch. I'm stuck.
There's nobody on this planet that would have told you in April of April of 2017. April of 2017. Oh yeah, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe gonna sell 50 million copies. That's a given. Like nobody would have ever told you that. I thought maybe 5 to 10 million tops. Okay, that was 40 million units ago.
But they made the decision to do this DLC pack, and
so late.
That's why that's for me.
Because they're confident. They're not worried.
I know.
They're not worried about what you're worried about. That's why they dropped this DLC pack. I'm telling you, bro. Mario Kart 9 or whatever they're going to call it. I don't think they're going to call it Mario Kart 9. I think they'll call it something else. That game, I think when it comes to 10, they'll call it 10. I don't think.
Are they going to call it 10? Because I almost would do the Mario joke in there where,
I think so. I think whatever Mario Kart 10 is, they're going to call it 10. They're going to call this Mario Kart Superstars or some shit. I don't know, but here's Super Mario Nintendo Kart or something like that.
Part of the reason I stopped playing Deluxe and definitely wasn't gonna get in on this DLC was because I don't want to be burnt out on Mario Kart.
Aren't you in on the DLC?
No, I mean,
no, you
pay for. Is it part of?
If I had the game, I would be able to play it. But I'm saying,
technically he has access.
Oh, okay. Okay. You don't have the game
separately. Like they bought it additionally.
Technically, he has access to it.
But
I bought the DLC myself. I bought it separately too.
It was an intentional decision. Because when the DLC people, you should buy Mario Kart. No, because I don't want to be burnt out on Mario Kart after 11 years or whatever, 9 years after the game came out. I don't want to.
You're going to be burnt out on Mario Kart 8. That's what you're going to be burnt out on. Mario Kart 9 is new. Like, bro, I played Mario Kart 64 all the way up happily until Mario Kart Double Dash came out, and I still played Mario Kart 64 after that. You are going to be fine. These things that you think are going to matter right now, they're not going to matter when you see that shiny new fucking Mario Kart.
When I am, it won't, because I haven't been playing Mario Kart for the past 4 years.
How aggressive. He's like a fucking salesman.
No.
I'm playing it. It's not going to matter to me or a ton of people who play Mario Kart. It is not going to matter.
I'm thinking about the casuals.
I'm salesman confident.
If casuals are going to be...
the casuals play Call of Duty every goddamn year.
They do.
What are you talking about? They don't care about these things. They love it. They love Mario Kart. They love Call of Duty. They'll play that bitch every year if you give them just a trinket of something new. That's all they care.
We'll see. That's Nintendo's IPs don't usually
care.
Roll
Where's that secret sauce at? Where's that Nintendo magic?
I'm telling you, bro, they do not care. People still are playing Splatoon 1 on what is it called?
The Wii U.
What's that console called again? No, I was talking about because it's not online technically anymore, but it's on what's it called?
Well, the emulator, Yuzu, and
what's the server? They call it I should know this. Pretendo Online.
Oh, wait.
They still play that shit religiously. It's not going to matter to the casual fan who plays these types of games all the time. They just want the next version. They don't care about how long they've been playing.
That's Splatoon 3 DLC coming. I just realized
Fortnite. How long is Fortnite going? It's still super popular. They just add some new things in there. It's still the same core fucking game.
Listen,
you run to get it's the same.
It's not from the game. It's not the game we were playing back.
Listen, T. They put Goku and fucking spawned in that bitch.
It is the same core game. Yeah, they added some modes. They added a couple modes.
I was watching. I didn't even know I was watching
like
Fortnite.
That.
I was not because of the visuals. I was watching. I was like, "That's freaking Fortnite!" Like it.
You're watching Doctor Strange and Goku do the Fortnite.
Yeah, they added vehicles and shit like that. But the core of the game is still the same.
Probably has the shrinking circle. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I just don't feel like it'll have the same impact that it would have had if they didn't have this DLC and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe had kind of fizzled out a bit, and then here comes this new one. Now, if they do what you say and have this really cool new thing, yes. But if they kind of rest on their laurels and it doesn't feel like much different than Mario Kart 8, I think it could hurt.
Yeah. That's just an old way of thinking. The old way of thinking is that, and that's just because that's how they gave it to us. It's not because that was some kind of system. The old way of thinking is that, oh, here's one Mario Kart for this console, play it that year and that's it. No, they want you to keep thinking about that shit for the next one to come out. They don't like the idea of, oh, I've sat around so long. I'm hungry now.
But you don't
it's
think
it's like that Chris Rock joke. Oh, is it Chris Rock or is it
Eddie Murphy?
No, it's Eddie Murphy. It's the saltine cracker. It's just a saltine cracker. There's nothing special about it. You've been waiting so long. You're so hungry. What is that, saltine?
No, you don't think
they don't want you starving. They want to keep you in the loop and get you on to the next thing. That they like this, I think.
Here's one last thing I'll say about it. Like,
that's what works today.
Like, isn't Birdo in there now? There's all these new characters.
Yeah.
You don't think that would have
and Paulina
the impact of Mario Kart 9, like these characters that they now put in the DLC?
Did they just drop a new Mario game with a bunch of new enemy types and characters and stuff? Hello, Mario Kart 9.
New game.
New game, new characters are dropping there.
I mean, I'm not saying there can't be new characters, but it's like, why not save the new characters for the next game? They must have some. They must have something.
You could just put in the next game too. You could put it in the next game also. You could put it in the.
I feel that diminishes the next game if it's just this.
Man, you own this weird. You need to come off this stuff because you're gonna be there.
It's just like with Forza Horizon 5. It's a 2-year gap, whatever it was. Maybe it was 3. And they didn't do enough to like make it feel fresh. So it was just like, oh, this is a good game, but
it's got 9s everywhere. Everybody is one of the top played games on Xbox. You on some box over your own head saying this isn't going to be good enough. But most people don't care about that. They want to play and continue playing the next version of their game. They don't need all that stuff. You would like that stuff for your experience. I understand you. I'm mostly with you. But I'm saying for the average casual consumer of these games, they don't give a damn what character was in the last game. Is it that new Mario Kart? I'm gonna buy it then. That's all it is. All it is.
You're probably right, but at the same time, I still believe not. I wasn't speaking just for me. Like the people who've been waiting for Birdo or Pauline or whoever some of the returning characters were.
And a lot of people that fell off like you, they're not playing these characters.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's gonna be new to them anyway.
But it's almost like they blew their wad with this DLC. Like unless they have they know they have something amazing, and they're not in. The next game's just gonna be like without doubt like this. Holy shit! This is the next Mario Kart game, no doubt. It's not just more.
And we came off a generation where they made a Smash for 3DS and a Smash for Wii U. And there was still more to do. There was still stuff that enticed us for the next one. So, bro, I'm not worried one bit.
We all bought it, but we definitely didn't play it as Ultimate nearly as much as we played Smash 4.
Okay, but did Nintendo get a purchase? Did they get that sale?
They did.
So
the excitement.
Did you get paid? Huh?
Your personal excitement is fleeting. For one thing, it's fleeting. It don't take much. Nintendo knows that. It don't take much to get us Nintendrones excited. Throw a little this, that, and there. Oh my god, this character's in it.
You know what the best
that's
part
day
is?
one buy.
Is I don't even have to buy it because Retro Death lost the bet, and he has to buy physical copies.
So. It doesn't even matter to you anyway. While we have this conversation, you already out here winning.
You spent the last 20 minutes on this shit, and you getting the shit for free anyway.
Yeah, what difference does it make?
That's if he owns up to the bet and he doesn't.
I'm pretty sure he will.
I'm sure he will.
He's gonna complain about it. But he will. He's gonna call. He's gonna sit there and call.
I was gonna buy him and his woman. I was gonna buy him and the woman a copy.
Oh, you would have to do. That's what
two to one bet.
What was the bet?
If the next Mario Kart game doesn't come on Switch, then
I remember that.
He has to buy me a physical copy, and if it does,
the problem is that
then I have to buy him and his girlfriend both a digital copy because I wasn't gonna do physical.
Once that bitch hit 20 million, I said you can forget about Mario Kart 9 on this bitch.
Yeah, he always said, "Well, that doesn't mean anything." This, and we're like, "No."
Listen. He's already taken the L. Don't rub it in his face.
He took the L. We don't need to.
Don't rub it in his face. You know the man. You know he can't. He don't handle criticism well. That's why he don't like your playthrough. Day is gone.
And somehow you're gonna tie this back to your GameCube hate.
Oh!
Hey. At the time, I enjoyed what I was playing, but I definitely felt like something was missing with the games I was buying. Yeah.
That's my favorite line at the time.
It still did the market. It's one thing to argue if it was a popular console and everybody bought it and you just didn't like it, and you're saying that. The market also said the same thing. You know, you bought it. You did actually buy it. Me too. But we knew something was off. Something was not there. And it is what it is. I love the GameCube. It's still one of my favorite consoles ever. But we knew something was missing. I don't know why we got in this GameCube bullshit.
All I know is I played Double Dash. I only played Double Dash one time for an hour.
I played the shit out of Double Dash. I can't join you on that. We used to land that bitch.
And that was
ports,
after
TVs and shit.
That was well into the Wii's life. I was at my buddy's house. He had Double Dash, and I'm like, I guess I'll try it. I played we
used to land party Double Dash. Like we hook up 4 TVs and go to town. So. The way people used to do, wasn't there a game on? Was it Halo? The first Halo that did that? Yeah, the first Halo. That's how we did Mario Kart Double Dash. That shit is fun, bro. That shit was fun.
Yeah, and Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U is the only console Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart game I own. I have all the handheld versions, and I never owned console version until 8, which is digital. So
I'm surprised that you own that. I'm surprised you own the handhelds versions.
I don't, because that was the only one of the few games I would get for the handhelds because to me they were just always a little filler systems for in between new consoles, and I would buy the best games to get me through any droughts or any gaps in between the console games until I'd say A Link Between Worlds was the first all right, this is as good as any console Zelda game I've played, or it's up there to me. And this is a whole discussion we'll have to save it for another time.
There you go, Visor. I just want to point that out. To be honest, I stopped playing Mario Kart 8 when Switch came out. So if they release Mario Kart 8 Ultimate for Switch 2, I buy that shit. There you go. Yeah. There you go, right there.
They can eat a dick if they try to release that. I might not even buy it. If they try to launch with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Ultimate, I'm not even buying the
Mario
Switch
Kart
2.
8 double deluxe, double stuff.
I won't even buy the Switch 2 at launch.
This would be mad as fuck.
Well, anyway, let's get out of here.
Who did this shit?
Whose man's is this, yo?
Whose man's is this? Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
Thank you, Biden. Thank you for that.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Launch title, yo.
Oh.
That's just so funny, huh?
We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
It's so funny.
Who clipped that one anyway?